Hello, welcome to another episode of the channel. This one is another showcase video, and it's on my 20mm Falklands War British forces. So this is in conjunction with the last one, which was obviously on the Argentinians. What I initially did when as I mentioned on the Argentinian video, I initially set up the British forces around the Top Mallow house raid, which I used a variety of figures. There's examples of them will be on this video when we go down to the turntable, but they were mainly Liberation. There's some of the old Hotspur miniatures, some Britannia, Elheim, bit of a wide variety, but I'll describe them all when you see them later. The other thing that I wanted to do was I wanted to do an airborne platoon, which I could use for both the engagements involving 2 para and 3 para, and for those I used Liberation. Did some conversion. Initially, I'll show an overall shot of the platoon and I'll describe the organisation. There's been confusion is not the right word, but there's a lot of wargaming articles on airborne infantry in the Falklands. It very often says that it'll make comments like the sections were issued 2 GPMGs and things like that. Strictly speaking, that wasn't true. What basically the situation was, 2 para just prior to the Falklands were due to go to Belize on a tour, and as a result of them being deployed to Belize, the weapon issues were slightly different. As an example, they were issued more GPMGs, and they also issued the M79 grenade launcher. So basically, in a nutshell, with the 2 battalions, the way it would work, just on a very general scale, is that 2 para platoons, you'd quite often have, normally issued at the platoon headquarters level, a guy with carrying an M79 grenade launcher, and it was also quite common to have more than 1 GPMG per section. 3 para followed a traditional route in that they didn't tend to have the M79 issued because of what I've already said, and the GPMG was 1 per section. So that's basically, in a nutshell, where the confusion comes from. So anyway, we'll without further ado, we'll get down to the turntable and I'll describe the figures as you see them. Right, so here we've got an overall view of the airborne infantry platoon. What you can see on this image is platoon headquarters of 5 men. The reason there's 5 is the 2 guys on the extreme right are one has a 2-inch mortar, one's obviously got an M79. This is to do a little bit of alteration between the units from 2 para and 3 para. We've then got a fairly standard organisation of 3 sections of 8 men. Standard section organisation, so it's a corporal in charge of the section, and he's attached and part of a 5-man rifle group, and then you've got the lance corporal, the GPMG gunner, and the assistant gunner in the 3-man gun group of the section, and that's how I've organised them. Is fairly generic, but I thought it was probably the easiest way to do it. What I'll go on to now is the section split up into the 2 groups. I don't intend to do obviously show you all 3 sections, because obviously the 3 sections are the same, so there won't be much point to that. So anyhow, the next thing that'll come up will be the section we'll go on to describe that. These are all Liberation miniatures by RH Models. Right, so this is a view of the platoon headquarters. Obviously, NCO leader figures, officer figures, I like to try and do with doing some sort of hand signals so you can see what they are on the tabletop. As I mentioned earlier, there's two figures. One's got a 2-inch mortar. The other has an M79 grenade launcher, and that's to do a little bit of variety between platoons from 2 para and 3 para. Right, so this is the rifle group part of one of my standard sections. So 5 men, Corporal NCO with his arm up so you can see which is that figure. Obviously, basically all the figures are the same. They're obviously all armed with SLRs and a standard loadout with regard to weapon. My normal method for doing the bases. Right, and this is the gun group of the section. What I've done here is I've done the Lance Corporal with a Bergen on, just so you can see who's who. Obviously the gunner's self-explanatory because he's got the GPMG. For the assistant gunner, what I've done is obviously a rifleman, but I've added an ammunition belt, a belt to link round him, so you can see that he's the assistant gunner in the group. Right, so these are the first of the top Mallow Brits for the Royal Marine Mountain Arctic Warfare Carter that I done. These figures are Liberation, and there's basically a wide variety because of their special forces status. So you can obviously see radio operator, guys with AR-15s. There's a couple there with scratch-built M79s that are added to the figures. Tell the Liberation, nice figures. Normal basin. The radio operator, it's just a brass rod antenna. Right, so these are some of the really nice old Hotspur miniatures. Obviously, for Marines and berries. These are really old figures, but they're really nice, really well sculpted, excellent to paint. The only issue you have now is that obviously the castings are really, really old, and it's been fortunate enough if you buy some now to get good castings. But really nice figures. Right, these four are Elheim from the British Cold War range. Something specifically designed for the British Army of the Rhine, but you can obviously use them for the Falklands. They've obviously got the 44 pattern helmet on rather than the airborne helmet. However, you can normally just get away with this by covering it with scrim. Nice figures, very highly detailed. The weapons are really, really good. Definitely worth having a look at. And these three are Britannia. So the two guys with helmets on are from the Cold War range. Again, 44 pattern helmets, but the equipment works fine. The sniper is actually from the modern Afghan range that I converted and just obviously turned it into a bit of a ghillie suit, what he's wearing, and camouflaged the rifle a little bit. And it's just how he painted the uniform then. I'm quite happy with the way he turned out. Right, and this is a small piece that you can use either as a drop-off point or a form-up point for a first aid station. It's basically some loose Bergens in a box and an SLR that are just banged on a round base, painted up. I've got a few of these. They're quite useful little things to have. Right, and this is a Britannia Scimitar. Reasonably old cast now. It's been out for a while, but if you can get a good one, they're cast in resin, a few little white metal bits, it comes out fine. It purposely hasn't got markings on. A lot of the information that I've come across said that the guys painting the markings out prior to going into action, so that's why it is insignia free. Not really much work done to it. I altered the commander slightly because he had rolled up sleeves, so I put his sleeves down and added a couple of antennae, and that's about it. Right, so that's where we are in relation to my 20mm Falklands Brits. It is a work in progress, and as regulars on the channel know, I've already completed an SAS troop. In the pipeline, I've got things like I've got a couple of the Airfix 105 light guns, various ancillary things, mortar teams, Milan teams, all that will eventually get done. But the main thing I wanted to complete really was obviously the Airborne Infantry Platoon. So that's where we are at the minute. As I always say, if you've enjoyed the video, please like it. If you haven't already subscribed, please think about subscribing. You get advance warning of the videos when they're released. You tend not to miss them. It also gives me an incentive to keep on focus and keep releasing the videos. To subscribe, you can either do that from the main channel page, or at the end of the video you'll see a subscribe button in the bottom right hand corner, which as normal is the 20mm modern Empress British Infantryman. Up next, I think I'm probably going to do, which is fairly long overdue, really, a review of the Fireteam Modern rules, which are my go-to system really for platoon level modern warfare. Really, I've used them from World War II and including World War II, and they're a really nice system. And I think we'll probably do that next. Okay, so thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.